Can we now please welcome to the stage our final bravado of the evening, Andy Spector, who is going to tell us how to be a meteorite hunter. So, Andy. Here you go. There's your
microphone.
Here's your clicker.
Clicker.
There's your screen.
Screen. Okay. Seconds. Right. Good evening.
Hello.
I've brought my bag here with some things in. I might use them, I might not. But that's but I better get them out now. Okay. Right. Okay. So here we are. I've got some slides to show you. My name's Andy Spector, and I'm apparently going to tell you about how to go meteorite hunting. Okay. So this is what is it? Yeah, it's part of the solar system. That's right. I heard someone say. So we've got the sun in the middle, and we've got some orbiting going on. And you want to know where meteorites come from, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, so asteroids, it's mentioned up there, a large meteorite. So when actually meteorites, when they're still in space, they're called meteors. It's only when they hit the ground they're called meteorites. So that's a fact you can take away with you tonight. Okay. So this, I've got to do the clicker, haven't I, to change the slide if I want to. So I might be going backwards and forwards with these slides. It might not be linear, this talk. I mean, if I press that, see? That's the next slide. Okay, so you're all clear about that? No, so basically this asteroid belt is between Jupiter and Mars, and it's been there for ages. Millions and millions of years. And they just go round and round for a long time. And they're quite happy doing that. Sometimes they bump into each other, and then there's a collision, and they bash into each other, and they form. No, they don't form anything. But they make an eccentric orbit, and then the Earth, which is also travelling around the Sun at how many miles an hour? 47,000 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Or was it 67,000 miles an hour?
67.
Yeah, okay, hold on. Just to illustrate that, I've got a tennis ball that's doing this. Okay. That's the Earth going around the Sun. So that's what. Okay, that wasn't very good. We're travelling really fast at the moment, aren't we? And sometimes we imagine meteorites hit us, but in fact we actually run into them as well, just as much as, because we're moving at 47,000 miles an hour. Okay, and the time I said this, we've travelled the length of going from London to Croatia. That's how far we travelled. I was going to do a Buddhist chant over that bit to illustrate how far we've moved, but they decided against it. Okay. All right, well, I better get on with this. So, can anyone translate that? It's in a museum in France, I think. So that's one, I don't know what that picture is, it's a bit fuzzy, but it landed in 1492, which is a very auspicious year, and they in Alsace area, I think it was Germany then, now it's France or something like that, I can't remember. But they hung it up in the church because they didn't know what else to do with it, so they put it in the sort of pulpit area behind the church. And people chipped off bits of it because it became quite auspicious to have a piece of it. That's why it's a bit chipped off. And that's one of the first recorded meteorites that was seen, witnessed. Here's one of my favourite meteorites, actually. This is in Oregon, this land. The Indians, the Native Americans, had known about this for some time, and then in 1906 they dug it up and brought it to New York. And it's sitting in New York in the, what's that museum? Natural History Museum of New York, I think. So that's kind of what we think of as a classic meteorite, isn't it, with lots of holes in it. In fact, that's terrestrial weathering rather than cosmic weathering, cosmic ablation. And Huckleberry Finn, actually, was the guy who found it. Not many people know. So these kids are here, and it's called the Willamette meteorite, which is a good memory aid to see for me. These are kids in about 1910, I think. And this probably was taken to New York by this time. And that's the size of it. It's great. It's a nickel iron meteorite. And it's had a lot of weathering, like I said. So here we go. That's me some years ago looking for meteorites. I found this location from I think it's called the Catalogue of Meteorites that you can find in the Natural History Museum in London. It tells you all the meteorite hits around the world. There's only 6 of these books, and one of them's there. And it ended up that we did a sort of research of the area in southern Morocco and found this place. And I picked up this rock, and not an orange, but the rock thing, and took it back to the museum in London. And they said it wasn't a meteorite. Disappointment. So here I am again in the sort of southern, on the border of Algeria and Morocco, south of Zagora. And that's actually, it was one of these things. This is a thing you might need. You can point to this. And this has a magnet on the end, so it's kind of handy because meteorites are generally magnetic. 99% of them can attract a magnet because the solar system has a lot of iron and nickel iron in it. And I was these are people I was trying to get to look for the meteorites for me. So one of the ways you can become a meteorite hunter is you get other people to look for them for you, because they know the desert better than I do. And see, so he's using one of the sticks there. So looks like I paid him like a couple of quid for that. Here we go. So here we're back in Paris. It's a film that was made for Channel 4, me called The Meteorite Man, me looking for meteorites. And here I am in Paris with the big dealer there, wondering whether any of it was any good that I was bringing him. I think this is a team of Japanese scientists looking for blue ice, which is glaciers push up the material up to the surface in some points of the glaciers, and they push meteorites to the surface. It's the quickest and best and most, what's the word? Plentiful? Numerous? What's that word?
Bountiful.
Bountiful. Most bountiful. Bountiful. way of getting meteorites in your pocket. But it's instead of, the reason scientists put a lot of money into getting meteorites is because in the space race they spent a lot of money sending rockets up in a race with the Russians. The Americans did, and spent huge amounts of money sending rockets up just to get moon rock, but actually was falling all the time. So we get 50 to 100,000 tons of meteoritic material hitting the Earth every year for free, in a sense. And so there's a lot of research can be done. So, I mean, I'm wearing a ring at the moment, which is made of meteorite. So, and it's I think it's 1 billion years older than anything on Earth. So, they tell a lot about the solar system, which is like our family, our solar system. That's how I like to look at it. So these, they could pick up 20, 30 meteorites in a day sometimes. It was the most bountiful place on Earth to find meteorites other than the desert. This is a picture I kind of ummed and ahed about putting in, I don't know. But I think it's just a CCTV camera in South Africa, and it just shows a fireball in the sky, which is, if you see one of those, good chance it's a meteorite, and it caught by CCTV. This is a very simple picture showing how meteorites are attracted to a magnet, or magnets attracted to a meteorite, likely. So that's a good way of telling if there is one. And they often look like kind of donkey poo or something, I suppose, if you want a simple way of thinking how a meteorite looks. Because it has this fusion crust on the outside as it comes through the Earth's atmosphere, maybe slowing down to 20,000 miles an hour. It will become melted and form this fusion crust on the outside. And it does, you can tell them from other things, but in the meteorite industry, as it were, the Meteorite Collectors Guild, there's some other those, but I was on a website of meteorite collecting, and I got all these emails all the time from people, whether saying, I've had this, showing me pictures and stuff. And I said, that's not a meteorite, it's a meteor-wrong. and that's what we used to say. Because so many of them are not meteorites, as people think they are. This is me. I had made little industry making rings for meteorite. This is a slab of nickel iron meteorite that landed in Namibia in prehistoric times, and then it hit the ground. And I should use that little pointer thing, shouldn't I? Where's that? Oh, there. Do you like that? Yeah. See, so it hit the ground here. It basically, it's like there's the fusion crust, so that's the outside of it, and they slice it up in like you slice bread. Meteorite dealers, they get a lump of meteorite from Africa, which came from Namibia, and then they'll slice it, and that's the outside of it, and the inside shows this nickel iron Whitman-Statten structure, and then that's as it hit the ground here, you can see it bent perhaps, and then it made some kind of impact here. Impact tension. So there you go. There's some more funny laser. That's a laser pen. You see, there's lasers there too. Okay. Another collection of mine. So I collect things. Another collection of the colour red. Objects with the colour red. This particular red I rather like. This is a crater. Just skipping along. Do you want to go back to it? I don't know if you want to talk about it. But the shoes are rather nice. What do you think?
The pencil.
The pencil. Well, I put that in as a bogus. Yeah, because that's not the colour, that I like. To show you. Do you see? It's not quite the right colour. The sugar, no, that's the right colour. You see? Pencil, not. Okay. That's some kind of collection. This is. Anyone know this crater? Does anyone recognise the crater?
Meteor crater.
Yes, absolutely right. In Arizona, I went there. It's about a mile across, so roughly. And they spent ages looking for the meteor underneath it. Mining companies went to the centre. It's about a mile across, roughly. Hit 150,000 years ago. A meteor hit there, but it was probably only the size of a bus. This meteor that hit there. But it causes a nuclear explosion and makes this huge crater. But they never found any of the iron ore that they thought they'd find, so they spent like 20 years digging around for it. But it actually, the meteorite had vaporized. They found that later. This is a random hit. I think this hit is Kenya somewhere. It looks like a nickel iron meteorite. Okay, that's that one. Good place to look for meteorites. It's the most, that's a desert, you see, so you can see that meteorite. There's not too much vegetation. So in England, because we're rather vegetated and there's a lot of mud and that kind of thing, you need a desert really. So you need a good car park, I think. So if you see one lying around Tesco's, one of those donkey poo shaped things, and you have your magnet with you, it's a good start. Here's a story I picked up a couple of days ago. I found this on the internet. You always find funny things on the internet, don't you? Eh? Things you didn't expect. Mr. and Mrs. Coffin's car was hit just after they pulled up by the Meteor Shopping Park's Aldi store. And I thought, that sounds rather topical for my talk, doesn't it, in a sense? But it was a strange story of a ball bearing being thrown at a car. Well, they didn't say it was thrown, it was just a ball bearing from nowhere. I don't know how big it was. It was a mysterious story. I just thought I'd throw that in. Terrestrial meteorite, perhaps. Oh yeah. So this is, because I thought this is an art place, isn't it? So I thought I'd put this in to please the art-loving crowd here. Put your hands up if you like art. 2, 3. So does anyone know this artist? Maurizio Catalogue? Well, he recently did a banana and he strapped it to the wall. He taped it to the wall, and someone ripped it off the wall and started eating it, didn't they? Some passerby. That's it. That's Maurizio Catalogue, and this is the Pope. I think, or a model of the Pope, probably not him. And I don't know why he did this piece. I don't know if anyone knows more about it than I do. Perhaps it's a joke on the act of God or something. But it's a bit unfortunate. I don't know how well he fared with that. And if anyone has any questions to ask me about meteorite hunting, I know I haven't been very clear about how to do it. But I'm open to any questions. And if you want me to flip back to Tesco, I mean, obviously, if you saw that, you'd think, "Oh, that's a meteor," wouldn't you? You might think about space and stuff like that. The shoes, no, that's nothing to do with meteors. No. So I told you I'd go back and forwards a bit. Yeah. There you go. Somewhere like that. Or maybe somewhere like that in a desert, with people around who know deserts, who'll go out looking for you and come back with some mysterious stones. Well, that's the end of my talk.